Half a year after its launch, the 076 amphibious assault ship, named Sichuan, has finally begun its sea trials. The vessel, adorned with colorful flags, is poised to accelerate its commissioning process, marking a significant milestone for what is considered the world's largest quasi-aircraft carrier. The electromagnetic catapult quasi-aircraft carrier, Sichuan ship, begins first sea trials in December 27, 2024. The lead ship of China's Type 076 amphibious assault ship, designated Sichuan and bearing the hull number 51, was launched at the Hudong Zhonghua shipyard in Shanghai. Recently, the Sichuan ship has made headlines with widely circulated photos showing its deck extensively decorated with red flags, signaling its imminent first sea trial. For major naval powers worldwide, large capital ships typically adorn themselves with flags at three critical engineering junctures, never arbitrarily. These moments are the launch ceremony, signifying the ship's transition from the dry dock to the water, with its main structure complete. The first sea trial, indicating the vessel will, for the first time, sail from the dock under its own power to begin performance testing at sea. The commissioning ceremony, after a series of sea trials and acceptance tests, marking its official entry into service. The 076 Sichuan ship's current display of flags, half a year after its launch, clearly indicates the commencement of its first sea trial. Experts state that preparing for sea trials means the Sichuan ship's core systems including power, navigation, basic communication, and damage control have been installed and initially debugged. Furthermore, fundamental safety aspects like hull watertight integrity and fire life-saving systems have passed inspection, rendering the ship ready for off. Sichuan ship's performance rivals aircraft carriers, can be used as a fleet-level carrier. The Sichuan ship holds significance for the PLA comparable to that of an aircraft carrier. It is the world's first quasi-aircraft carrier amphibious assault ship to incorporate electromagnetic catapult technology. Amphibious assault ships are versatile vessels that provide significant aviation support for amphibious operations, typically displacing over 10,000 tons, with some exceeding 40,000 tons, a size comparable to medium or light aircraft carriers in other nations. For a major power, these ships are invaluable for projecting force from sea to land. Consequently, major global powers have prioritized their construction, with the U.S. Navy consistently maintaining 10 large-deck amphibious assault ships. The Sichuan ship is not merely an upgraded version of the Type 075 amphibious assault ship, it's a completely new 5,000-ton class design, approaching the size of a medium aircraft carrier. The Type 075, with a full displacement of about 35,000 tons, features a full-length flight deck with 6 helicopter landing spots, capable of simultaneously launching and recovering 6 large to medium shipborne helicopters. This capability is crucial for the PLA's large-scale vertical landing operations, as helicopters cruise at 200 km per hour compared to mechanized landing craft's maximum speed of 50 km per hour, vastly increasing the speed and flexibility of landing operations. However, since China's aviation industry cannot yet produce short takeoff and vertical landing STOVL fighter jets like the UK's Sea Harrier or the US's F-35B, the Type 075 currently only carries various helicopters, making it, in strict terms, a helicopter carrier or landing ship, not a true amphibious assault ship capable of operating fighter jets. To enable fighter jet operations, Chinese military research units are not only continuing their work on STOVL fighter technology, but have also found an alternative: installing mature electromagnetic catapults onto amphibious assault ships. This is one of the most valuable technological advancements of the Type 076. While the 076E's primary role remains amphibious operations, its tonnage and size make it the world's largest advanced amphibious assault ship. Its large well deck and hangar can accommodate multiple large hovercraft and over 40 helicopters, giving it unparalleled long-range force projection capabilities. What truly sets the Sichuan ship apart are its capabilities beyond traditional amphibious roles. Its twin island design, a 252-meter flat-top flight deck, and heavy-duty elevators significantly expand its usable deck area and aviation support capacity. Crucially, its revolutionary status is cemented by its electromagnetic catapult system and corresponding arrestor gear. Previously, only US and Chinese aircraft carriers featured electromagnetic catapults. The Sichuan ship's adoption of this system effectively blurs the lines between traditional amphibious assault ships and fleet-level aircraft carriers, overcoming the severe limitations of ski jump decks on fixed-wing carrier-based aircraft's takeoff weight and efficiency. Electromagnetic catapults allow the ship to launch heavy carrier-based fighter jets, fixed-wing early warning aircraft, and even large drones at full fuel and ordnance. The Sichuan ship and the Fujian carrier reportedly share the same electromagnetic catapult system. According to analysis, only China and the US possess the technology for electromagnetic catapults. However, compared to the US Ford-class carrier's problematic and less reliable medium-voltage AC systems, China uses a more efficient and reliable medium-voltage DC integrated power electromagnetic catapult system, which is considered at least one generation ahead technologically. This means the Sichuan ship's aircraft can take off in a fully loaded state for combat, unlike us amphibious ships that rely on STOVL aircraft. This provides a qualitative leap in combat radius, air superiority, time, and weapon payload, leading to an exponential increase in overall aviation combat power. Sichuan ship, the PLA's multi-talent amphibious ship, aircraft carrier, drone carrier. The Sichuan ship is essentially designed to support the next generation of PLA carrier-based aircraft and heavy drones. China's new carrier-based aircraft, like the J-15, J-35, and KJ-600 early warning aircraft, all weigh around 30 tons. This means the Sichuan ship can seamlessly transform into a fully functional medium-sized aircraft carrier, capable of carrying 20 fighter jets and early warning aircraft, whenever the PLA requires. With its launch efficiency and comprehensive combat capabilities, the Sichuan ship already outperforms all currently active ski jump or STOVL carriers and amphibious assault ships worldwide. For instance, India's two operational 4,000-ton fleet carriers are at least 20% smaller than the Sichuan ship and carry lighter MiG-29K jets. While they might later switch to Rafale M carrier-based jets, they will still use ski jump takeoff, preventing full fuel and ordnance launches, severely limiting their combat radius and payload. The Sichuan ship, however, avoids this issue by directly using electromagnetic catapults for full payload launches of J-15S and J-35S. Its combat radius and strike range far exceed those of Indian carriers, and the J-15 already boasts overwhelming technical advantages over the Rafale M, not to mention the stealth capabilities of the J-35. Furthermore, the Sichuan ship's ability to launch fixed-wing early warning aircraft fundamentally redefines its situational awareness capabilities, surpassing all conventional carriers currently in service worldwide. Currently, only US and French nuclear-powered aircraft carriers possess fixed-wing carrier-based early warning aircraft. The Fujian, Liaoning, and Shandong carriers will also gradually incorporate the new fixed-wing KJ-600 early warning aircraft. Beyond its role in launching manned combat aircraft, the Type 076 amphibious assault ship is also expected to function as a drone carrier. Previous online reports of an Attack 11 test site on Shanghai's Changxing Island, which features the external characteristics of an amphibious assault ship's deck and island, strongly suggests this site was established to train and test the operation of the Attack 11 stealth unmanned combat aerial vehicle from the type. Upon its commissioning, the Type 076 amphibious assault ship will significantly enhance China's amphibious expeditionary capabilities. It will upgrade the PLA's ability to execute large-scale landing operations involving Corps-level or Group Army-level forces 40,000 to 100,000 personnel, a significant leap from its previous capability of handling division or brigade-level operations 4,000 to 10,000 personnel. Large-scale operations require dozens of large amphibious ships and civilian vessels for multi-batch delivery, necessitating air defense support for the fleet and ground attack fire support for the landing forces. Currently, the Type 071 and Type 075 amphibious ships lack these two capabilities. The Type 076 will fill this critical gap. In terms of fleet air defense, the Type 076 can utilize its J-35 fighter jets to provide air defense protection for landing ships and close-range fire support for friendly forces that have penetrated enemy territory. The J-35 is designed for close-range air combat and air support, with each 076 expected to carry at least 6-8 J-35s, forming an amphibious aviation support squadron. US media suggests that the Sichuan ship could quickly fill any gaps in carrier power when large aircraft carriers like the Type 004 are commissioned or during their deployment cycles, thereby maintaining the PLA's presence in key maritime areas. The cost of economic protectionism, a lesson from Hinkley Point Sin, an era where Western nations frequently accuse China of posing a threat and actively seek to exclude it from various industries. A pertinent question arises: do these protectionist measures truly benefit them? The United Kingdom's experience with the Hinkley Point C nuclear power plant offers a stark answer. In 2007, then-EDF CEO Henry Proglio boldly promised that the Hinkley Point C nuclear power plant would be powering British homes by Christmas 2017. Reality, however, has been far less accommodating. As of 2025, the plant remains unfinished, with EDF's latest projections pushing completion to 2029, at the earliest, a staggering 12 years behind schedule. What makes this even more perplexing is that after effectively ousting Chinese investor CGN China General Nuclear Power Group from the UK's nuclear energy market, the British government has surprisingly sought continued financial contributions from China to cover the project's spiraling costs. The saga began on September 29, 2016, when CGN, EDF, and the UK government formally signed a cooperation agreement for new nuclear power projects in the UK, including Hinkley Point C. At the time, UK-China relations were in a golden era, and to attract Chinese investment, the UK even promised CGN a leading role in the future Bradwell B nuclear power station, allowing China's self-developed Hualong 1 reactor technology to be used in a Western market for the first time. This was a significant step for China's nuclear power technology and marked its entry into the European market. Arguably, Chinese involvement was critical. Without CGN's funding, Hinkley Point C might not have even started construction. Just months prior, in June 2016, the UK voted to leave the European Union, leading to immediate political turmoil. Theresa May replaced David Cameron as Prime Minister, and her new government swiftly launched an investigation into Hinkley Point C under the guise of national security. Reports from The Independent in August 2016 indicated that UK officials were considering how to gracefully exit the agreement while minimizing financial and international damage. May's senior advisor, Timothy, had previously warned that China could exploit its role to introduce vulnerabilities into computer systems, enabling them to arbitrarily shut down UK energy production, an unsubstantiated claim. Despite this scrutiny, Hinkley Point C, largely controlled by EDF with CGN holding only a 33.5% stake, and using the European-designed EPR reactor technology, eventually received government approval in September 2016. However, the approval came with a new condition: the UK government would acquire a special share in future energy projects, granting it veto power in case of national security concerns. This meant any foreign company entering the UK energy sector would have to cede some equity to the British government for oversight. At the time, both EDF and CGN, seemingly thrilled by the successful signing, did not foresee that this seemingly innocuous clause would later become the UK government's pretext for administratively forcing CGN out of the market. Post-2019, under its influence, the UK escalated its suppression of Chinese companies. In 2020, It banned Huawei from its 5 grams network, and by 2021, the government officially announced that CGN must withdraw from all nuclear power projects, stripping it of its leading role in Bradwell B. The UK's justification was national security, but the underlying logic was evident. Under US Western pressure, the UK chose to sacrifice economic interests to align with anti-China political sentiment. This reversal was despite a rigorous 2015 review that found no security concerns with Chinese companies. By 2021, the narrative abruptly shifted to portray Chinese companies as threats, a clear case of political manipulation rather than rational decision-making. After China's forced withdrawal, the British government initially expected to quickly find other investors. However, reality proved harsh. Japan's Mitsubishi and Hitachi, approached by the UK, had already announced their withdrawal from the UK nuclear power market in 2020, citing excessive investment risk and the UK government's inconsistent policies. The US nuclear industry was also in crisis, with Westinghouse having undergone bankruptcy restructuring, making it unable to undertake such massive investments. Even the US government showed no interest in financing the UK's nuclear plans. Middle Eastern nations like the UAE and Saudi Arabia were also uninterested, as they were developing their own nuclear power and wary of the UK's erratic policy changes. Ultimately, the UK government was forced to rely on EDF to solely bear the entire investment. However, EDF itself was heavily indebted and was fully nationalized by the French government in 2023, meaning French taxpayers were also now footing the bill for the UK's missteps. In essence, the UK lost Chinese investment and plunged itself into a severe energy predicament. Following China's exit, Hinkley Point C's construction costs spiraled out of control. EDF announced in 2023 that the project's total investment had soared to £46 billion, 2.5 times the original budget. More alarming, EDF now expects the plant to generate power no earlier than 2029, possibly as late as 2035. This implies a construction period potentially spanning 30 years, making it one of the slowest nuclear power plants globally. And this is merely the most optimistic estimate, with further cost increases and delays not ruled out, given the UK government's inefficiency, project management issues, and EDF's financial woes. The project has become a bottomless pit. In stark contrast, China's domestic nuclear power projects have seen rapid development. China's self-developed Hualong 1 reactor has been commissioned in multiple domestic and international projects, with units like the Fujian Fuking Nuclear Power Plant Unit 5 completed in just 5 years. Hinkley Point C, by contrast, has been under construction for over a decade with no end in sight. While the UK still uses French EPR technology, China has already completed research on its 4th-generation nuclear power plants, with its high-temperature gas-cooled reactor successfully connecting to the grid in 2021, becoming one of the world's most advanced nuclear technologies. The UK's nuclear technology, in comparison, remains stuck in the past. Hinkley Point C faces 2 likely outcomes. Either it becomes a stranded asset, like Japan's abandoned Wilfa nuclear project in Wales, or, if completed, it will seek to recoup costs from consumers. Media estimates suggest electricity bills could rise by up to 70%. Last year, the UK government lifted the energy and electricity bill cap, leading to a 5% increase to £1,928 annually. From building its first commercial nuclear power plant to struggling to complete one in 30 years, the UK has come full circle in half a century. The decline of the empire on which the sun never sets is perhaps best summarized as the suffering of the common people.